Looking to make a difference with your shopping? Visit communitypayitforward.us. Select the mission or cause you want to support and scan the QR code. You have two options. Click the first link and browse our giving partners, or use the second link to tell us what you need, and we'll find the right partners for you. Shop with these partners and keep your receipt or invoice. Next, click a picture or simply upload a picture of your receipt to the portal in every form, adding your name and email address. Your purchase now turns into a donation to the mission you've chosen. Community Pay It Forward shares your business story with those in need of your services to rally support for those who need us all. Happy Memorial Day. How's it going, everyone? Name is Zach Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the pACT channels. We are here on Memorial Day because we want to talk about this wonderful day. And as many of you have known for a while, I am not a person who is a fan of Memorial Day sales. I want this day to be in the vein of a Christmas or Thanksgiving or things like that, to where people actually use this day for what it is, which is a day to remember our fallen heroes. Saying this, today is a day that if you look right now in the chat, I just put in a link to where you can join us live today to tell the story of your hero. Tell the story of someone that you love, that you lost. Tell the story of someone who is battling through things. Tell the story. I've got a few stories that I'm going to share with you a little bit later, but I just wanted to go on ahead and give you the opportunity to tell your story. I wrote something and I want to share it with you. And this does have to do with my disdain for the sales of today. Okay. I would like to see it change from Memorial Day sales to, beginning of summer sales or something like that. I just don't see how using this day to sell your products is good for the families and the people, the women and men who lost their lives in service to our country. I've said it a million times, and I'm going to say it a million more. The men and women who lost their lives in service to this country really don't care about you and your new car. When you getting a new car on this day, they absolutely do care about you. That's the reason why they were there. What's worse is, do these companies even care what this day is about? This is a story I wrote, and a lot of you this morning got the printed out version, called Memorial Day is Not Black Friday. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the history and significance of Memorial Day, a day dedicated to those honoring the women and men who have sacrificed their lives in military service to the United States. Memorial Day was originally known as Decoration Day, and it traces its origins back to the aftermath of the Civil War, one of the deadliest conflicts in American history. As the war concluded in 1865, communities across the nation began holding tributes to countless soldiers who had perished. These early commemorations involved decorating graves with flowers, hence the name Decoration Day. One of the earliest recorded instances of this practice took place in Charleston, South Carolina in 1865. Freed African Americans, along with the regimes of U.S. colored troops, gathered to honor Union soldiers who had died in a Confederate prison camp. This act of remembrance was one of many grassroots efforts that independently sprung up across the nation. The nation. In Columbus, Mississippi, on April 25th, 1866, a group of women from the Ladies Memorial Association of Columbus visited a cemetery to decorate the graves of Confederate soldiers who had fallen in the Battle of Shiloh. Noticing the neglected graves of over 40 Union soldiers nearby, they placed flowers on those graves as well. The compassionate gesture caught the attention of the Union occupation troops, and Horace Greeley wrote about it in the New York Tribune. Not always the greatest guy in the world, but, caught his attention. In Waterloo, New York, Waterloo, New York is often recognized as the official birthplace of Memorial Day. On May 5th, 1866, the town held a community-wide event where residents decorated soldiers' graves with flowers and flags. And in 1966, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed a proclamation recognizing Waterloo's celebration as the official origin of Memorial Day. In 1868, General John A. Logan, leader of an organization for Northern Civil War veterans, called for a nationwide day of remembrance. He declared that the Decoration Day should be observed on May 30th, a date chosen because it was not an anniversary of any particular battle. On the first National Decoration Day, General James Garfield delivered a speech at Arlington National Cemetery, and 5,000 participants decorated graves of 20,000 Union and Confederate soldiers buried there. Following World War I, the scope of Memorial Day expanded to honor all American military personnel who died in all wars. The day gradually became known as Memorial Day, and in 1971, Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act, establishing Memorial Day as the last Monday in May and declaring it a federal holiday. Today, Memorial Day is observed with various traditions, including visiting cemeteries and memorials, holding family gatherings, and participating in parades. The National Monument of Remembrance Act, passed in 2000, encourages Americans to pause for a moment of silence at 3 p.m. local time to honor those who have died in military service. So unfortunately, we're about an hour and 10 minutes past that. Memorial Day serves as a poignant reminder that sacrifices by women and men in the U.S. Armed Forces. It is a day to reflect on the cost of freedom and to ensure the legacy of those who gave their lives for their country is never forgotten. This is the most important holiday for us as an entire country. This is a holiday celebrated by all races, creeds, and ages. Without the sacrifices of these men and women, we would not have the freedoms afforded us. There is no family that benefits from a car or furniture is promoting Memorial Day sales. We encourage everyone to avoid these sales on Monday. We hope that these businesses go back and study the history of this holiday and reconsider the marketing practice. Let's celebrate the people who gave their lives and families that lost loved ones and had to rebuild their family without them. I want to thank you for joining me on this historical journey on this Memorial Day. On this Memorial Day, please take a moment to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. I know that this is probably something that doesn't bug as many people as it does me. And I know it's weird that I'm sitting here telling people not to do business with these places, but that's not actually what I'm saying. My point is if somebody's out there with a Memorial Day sale that does not directly affect veterans or directly affect the families of those who have lost, the message is wrong. We need to remember, look, all the time I hear about people who don't want to see individuals working at Walmart on Christmas. Christmas is a holiday that is celebrated by a portion of people. This is a holiday that should be celebrated by every American, because this is a holiday that we are allowed to have because of these women and men who have fought for this country. If you would like a copy of this post of what I just read, please join us. Please visit me or just reach out to me and I will send it to you. It is also it will be in the blogs as early as tomorrow. There are plenty of reasons to enjoy the sales of these businesses. And I understand this is a day where all this, where people celebrate 4-day weekends. Hey, awesome. You know what? But we don't need to have actors who are acting like a drill sergeant to their employees. I don't understand. I don't understand that. And again, this is something that maybe it only bugs me. I don't know. But this is a day that was created, and a long time ago. Okay, I mean, well over 100 years ago, this day was created, and as you've seen, it was created by different groups of people. Different people, but they all had like-minded ideas. Freed slaves wanted to celebrate people who died in camps. The ladies, Confederate ladies, decided to decorate Union graves, and that couldn't have been easy, because you know what? Those Union graves probably had something to do with the graves that they were decorating. I don't know if I agree or disagree with President Johnson's idea of celebrating Waterloo as the original place. I don't know why we have to give it original place. I don't think it's necessary. I think we should celebrate the day, and there's no real reason to think of it having an original place. But that's not here nor there. Let's be honest. Celebrate as you will. Celebrate with your family. But let's make sure that we are celebrating with the message, with the meaning. I love the fact that families get together on this day. I am sitting right now inside of my home that was initially bought by a World War II veteran. My grandfather was in the Pacific. He fought in the Pacific against the Axis. He and I had wonderful conversations. You know, as I was growing up, I was very young for most of them. Unfortunately, my grandparents, I lost. I lost both sets of my grandparents in my early 20s. Was when my final grandparent died, and that was my grandfather. There were certain things that were so important to him. His towers bought this beautiful home that was built in 1907. Rocky Mountain Tower Service. I've got a letter down here that's packed away in my memories, because it's to my grandmother from the United States Navy, thanking her for her service to the country during World War II. My grandmother didn't go across the seas. Grandpa did. Yeah, my grandma didn't. But we understood the sacrifice that grandma had to make. You see all the pictures that from World War II, and you see the pride of people when they came home. The parade in New York City, Iwo Jima. You see all these things, and a lot of them, comes out that they were staged. The two people that were kissing, they didn't even know each other. Civil War. Brother fights brother. Friend fights friend. We lost a lot of wonderful, wonderful people in Korea. We have men and women who are still dealing with pain and suffering from Vietnam. The effects of Vietnam. My Uncle Barry, still very, very sick. Very important man to me. Very important man to me. And every time I see him, I do get that tear in my eye because thank God he's still here. I would like to invite you to join us and talk about this story of your heroes. If you have a story about someone in your life who was in a war, I invite you to come on and tell that story. You don't have to stay on for very long, but come on and tell your story. If you were in a war, if you lost somebody, if you lost somebody in the service, please join us. Everyone's welcome. Come on in. Just know that if you're going to try to take over my show, I'm going to boot you off. If you try to do something weird and twisted, but please come on and join us. My other grandfather, he was a ground medic in World War II. He was a ground medic in France, and if anybody knows anything about the stories in France, you know, there was a lot of bad things that happened there for a lot of good young men. I had a particular conversation with my grandfather when I was in junior high. And kids, I'd like to share this story particularly with you because this is something that is very, very important. I wrote an essay. And this essay was about talking to someone who you idolized. I idolized my grandfather. Okay, I idolized my grandpa, but I didn't know the history of a lot about what he did. I knew he was in the war, and that's the reason why I wanted to go talk to him, but I had no idea of some of the stuff that he did. I did not even know that my grandfather was a medic when I went to go talk to him. When I went to go talk to him, I approached it as I went to go talk to him as a subject. And there's not a day that goes by. And this is not blowing smoke. This isn't, making things up. There is not a day that goes by that I don't wish that I would have paid more attention to the stories that my grandfather, one of the strongest men I've ever met in my life, he had a tear in his eye when he was telling me this. And the message he told me that sticks with me every day, and I think it's one of the reasons that it's led me to do what we do here a little bit, is that my grandfather told me that he would have days where men would come in with scrapes and bruises, and they'd go home in a box. Men would come in missing body parts. They got to go home and enjoy their family. And anybody who's had anything to do with first response or anything like that knows how hard it is to lose anybody. And I am not putting what we do here in anywhere the same category. So please don't get me wrong there. But this is when we have somebody who comes to us. I've been in a conversation for the last week and a half trying to figure out how to help this lady's mom whose car broke down, and she's an elderly lady, and we're trying to figure out a way to get her around, because her car broke down. And it sucks for us to not be able to help everyone we come into contact with. That sucks. It really does. You never go out there and try to do things half-assed. You never go out there hoping that you kind of succeed in helping people. That's why when I heard my grandfather say that when he would lose a kid, it was like losing a little bit of himself. The tie-in to this show, I would say here, I watched my grandfather drink the good majority of his adult life. We used to go with him to Tom's Tavern all the time in Garden City, Kansas. And my grandpa would drink there. And then we would go to the Knights of Columbus, and Grandpa would drink there, and I'd always get the cherry Cokes. We would walk from the world's largest concrete swimming pool to his little apartment, and he would give us a ride home. But of course, we would stop, and he would have that drink, and we would get our sodas, and then he would take us home. I ended up losing him when I was 15. And I really, really, really cannot express how much I wish I would have paid more attention to that conversation. Hindsight. I know, hindsight. But what I do remember of that conversation still, we were in the middle of the Cold War at that time. And my grandfather told me that flat out, and this was the time that, anytime that you heard anything about Russians, it was those damn Russians, or those blankety blank Russians. And my grandfather flat out said, if it wasn't for the Russians, we would have lost that war. And that was hard for any American at that point in time to say, because they were the enemy. They were not, this is before Gorbachev tear down these walls. This is before any of that. They were our enemy. And my grandfather told me in this interview, if it was not for the Russians, we would have lost that war. My grandfather didn't die in this conflict. My grandfather also didn't talk to his own son about this conflict. My grandfather didn't talk to anybody about this conflict. That's why him telling me and me not paying attention is something that I regret still to this day, because I didn't give that information my full attention. But again, my grandfather didn't die directly because of that in direct connection with the conflict, but he did die because of that conflict. It took away years of his happiness, which means it took away years of his life. This wasn't something that happened once. This is something that happens still to this day with the conflicts that with the latter conflicts, with Vietnam, with Iraq, with Desert Storm. This is still something that other families are dealing with every day. Again, wonderful man, my Uncle Barry, deals with cancer from Agent Orange. Every time I get to see him, he's a little bit older, a lot skinnier, but still one of my favorite people in the world. It's a conflict that he didn't die directly in the conflict, but it's a conflict that eventually will take his life. There are men and women who unfortunately lose a battle at their own hands because of these conflicts, which means that families lose loved ones. I think one of the other things that we forget quite often is there are things that go wrong in training exercises as well. And we lose people here in our own country during trainings and things like that. You know, we don't just lose our women and men in service when they're overseas or when they're in battle. We lose men and women due to illness. We lose them due to, things that go wrong. Think just a couple months ago with the missile strike. Killed 3 wonderful, wonderful human beings. They weren't full-time soldiers, but they lost their life to our country. For our country, for service for our country. Whether or not they should have been over there, that's a debate that you can have on your own. I will never have that debate because here is the thing. I don't give a rat's ass if you believe in the war or not. Our heroes are our heroes. Our heroes are there in service of our freedoms. If they get told, hey, guess what? Pack your bags. They pack their bags. They follow orders to do what they are told to do. You don't have to appreciate the battles, but we need to support our heroes. One of the things that I would like to remind you is that you can always support our heroes every day by looking around to smaller nonprofits in your area. Again, I'm not railing against people doing business today. That's not what I'm railing against. What I am railing against is people using this as another Black Friday. The words Memorial Day and sale should not ever go together. Beginning of summer sale. Wonderful, wonderful. This sale is happening over Memorial Day weekend. I don't really like that, but you know what? If you need to put it that way, how about over the extended weekend? But Memorial Day should not be something that you use to sell your goods. Unless it directly affects people who have lost their lives in service to our country. Again, you may not agree with this. I don't know. And I've got the link right there on the screen. And here, let me go ahead and put it in the chat again. If you disagree with me, I welcome you. Come on and set me straight. I welcome anybody to come on and talk about a hero who's lost their lives, or somebody who's losing a battle, or thank someone. I don't care why you come on. Come on and join me. We've got another 24 minutes. So you can come on and join us if you want. Come on, tell your story. Tell people about, your service. Tell people about things that you've seen. Tell us a story. Tell us a story of somebody that you heard from somebody, like I heard from my grandfathers. As depressed as the war made my one grandfather, the medic, as depressed as it made him, he still felt that pride that he did this for his country. He did not see it as a negative thing. He felt that pride. This is the day where I get to thank him for what he did. This is the day that I get to thank the people that you love for what they did. The people in your family. I don't have to directly know you to care. I thank every single person who has ever put on that suit, put on that uniform, in defense of our country and our freedoms. I truly believe that it doesn't matter if you wartime, peacetime, whatever it was. Things can go wrong. We all know this. General Patton died in a Jeep accident. He didn't get shot. He died in a Jeep accident. Things can go wrong when you're serving our country. You can be in training, get bit by an insect, get an infection, and that's it. And then your family's without you. You give up time away from your wife, from your kids, from your mother, from your father, from your friends when you just get out of high school and all your friends are going to these wonderful parties and you're sloshing mud in Louisiana or wherever you are. My wonderful nephew Jean, he was in Afghanistan. He could have stayed here at home. But he knew what it was going to take to protect our way of life. To stand up for freedom for others. I just, again, this all started because I really hope that we can take and we can turn Memorial Day back into Decoration Day. Okay? The origin of what this day is. Wait for 24 hours, I guess.
Here's what I found.
I don't care what you found. My watch is talking to me. I guess I made my watch mad, so that's the first person who's going to talk to me and tell me that I'm being stupid. So, but if you agree with me, stand up with me and tell these people stop using the words Memorial Day sale. It's not needed. Again, I don't give a damn if you work today. These women and men have fought for us to have the ability to work today. But if my company does anything with this day's name in it, it's going to be about the men and women that this day is for. I ask you to do the same. If you're a business owner, please. Just think about how you advertise this. There's so many other things that you can do. Long weekend sale. So many other ways that you can go about this day. Stop using Memorial Day as Black Friday. It just doesn't need to be that way. Market it some other way. Tomorrow, go back to regular business. By all means, tomorrow, go back to regular business. I'd like to go on ahead and one more time welcome you all to Footprints Forward. I am Zach Clayton. And I'd like to read it again because today we're making a deep dive into the history and significance of Memorial Day, a day dedicated to the honoring of women and men who have sacrificed their lives in military service to the United States. Memorial Day, which was originally known as Decoration Day, traces its origins back to the aftermath of the Civil War, one of the deadliest conflicts in American history. As the war concluded in 1865, communities across the nations began holding tributes to the countless soldiers who had perished. These early commemorations involved decorating graves with flowers, hence the name Decoration Day. One of the earliest recorded instances of this practice took place in Charleston, South Carolina, in 1865, the same year the war ended. Freed African Americans, along with regiments of the U.S. colored troops, gathered to honor Union soldiers who had died in a Confederate prison camp. This act of remembrance was one of many grassroots efforts that independently sprung up across the country. In Columbus, Mississippi, on April 25th, 1866, a group of women from the Ladies' Memorial Association of Columbus visited a cemetery to decorate the graves of Confederate soldiers who had fallen in the Battle of Shiloh. This is where it gets really good, though. Noticing that the neglected graves of 40 Union soldiers nearby, they placed flowers on those graves as well. Again, those are probably, some of those men probably had to do directly with the death of the person they were putting graves on. Yet they still, 1 year later, 1 year after the war, they still decorated those 40 Union soldiers' graves. They placed this compassionate gesture caught the attention of Union occupation troops, and Mr. Horace Greeley, I live in Greeley, Colorado, by the way, named after Horace Greeley, wrote about it in the New York Tribune. Waterloo, New York, is often recognized as the official birthplace of Memorial Day. And on May 5th, 1866, the town held a community-wide event where residents decorated soldiers' graves with flowers and flags. In 1966, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed a proclamation recognizing Waterloo's celebration as the official origin of Memorial Day. In 1868, General John A. Logan, leader of an organization for Northern Civil War veterans, called for a nationwide day of remembrance. He declared that the Decoration Day should be observed on May 30th, a date chosen because it was not the anniversary of any particular battle. On the first National Decoration Day, General James Garfield delivered a speech at Arlington National Cemetery, and 5,000 participants decorated the graves of 20,000 Union and Confederate soldiers buried there. Following World War I, the scope of Memorial Day expanded to honor all American military personnel who died in all wars. The day gradually became known as Memorial Day, and in 1971, Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act, giving us this wonderful long weekend, establishing Memorial Day as the last Monday in May and declaring it a federal holiday. Today, Memorial Day is observed with various traditions, including visiting cemeteries, memorials, holding family gatherings, and participating in parades. And barbecue. I don't want this to be a bummer of a day. I mean, come on, barbecue. The National Moment of Remembrance Act, passed in 2000, encourages Americans to pause a moment of silence at 3 p.m. local time to honor those who have died in military service. Memorial Day serves as a poignant reminder. Wow, thank God I talk for a living here, huh? Reminder of the sacrifices made by women and men in the U.S. Armed Forces. It is a day to reflect on the cost of freedom, to ensure that legacies of those who gave their lives and for their country is never forgotten. This is the most important holiday for us as an entire country. This is a holiday celebrated by all races, creeds, and ages. Without the sacrifice of these men and women, we would not have the freedoms afforded us. Sorry. There is no family that benefits from the car or furniture that is promoting Memorial Day sales. What I meant there is there's no family of someone who passed away in the Civil War or the Revolutionary War, or very few, we're losing those who fought in World War II. The families aren't benefiting from your brand new car or furniture on that day. We encourage everyone to avoid these sales on Monday. And we hope that these businesses go back and study the history of this holiday. Reconsider the marketing practice. Let's celebrate the people who gave their lives and the families that lost loved ones and had to rebuild their families without them. I'll get off my high horse now. I do want to thank everyone who has served our country. I also want to thank everyone who has served our community. There are many, many, many people who have served our country and never left the country's soil. That doesn't make you any less important. It most assuredly does not make your sacrifice any less important. I want to thank everyone for joining me today. And again, this is not a plea to to make everybody stop working on this day. Then again, I remember when I was working in restaurants, I was hoping to God that we could get this. How come we can't get this day off? It's a national holiday. Everybody should get this day off. Well, this is, in my opinion, this is one of those days that we probably should let people have off. This is a national holiday where people, no matter what their nationality, can support. I am also not trying to raise a huge conflict. I'm not going to go out there and ban anything or do any of this. I'm just asking people to reconsider using the word Memorial Day in your sales pitch. Remember what this is about. It is not about your mattress being moved. I'd like to take a real quick minute and I'd like to talk to you guys about an event that's coming up on July 17th. Dignified Dementia's Jim's Journey fundraiser. We are going to have a lot more information on this coming up next Wednesday of this week when we introduce you to Dignified Dementia. A wonderful program. They're going to be joining us on Wednesday night's Community Impact podcast. Myself and Melissa are going to be with Dignified Dementia and everything that they've got going on. This is a wonderful organization where, again, somebody who suffered And their first thought was, what can we do for others? Became the overriding thought in their mind. And they created this and trying to find a way to more dignify dementia when it comes to other people. So please join us on Wednesday night. 7 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Mountain, 4 o'clock Pacific. But mark, if you're in Colorado, mark off July 17th. And let's support dignified dementia. Hey, everybody, my name is Zach Clayton. I am the president and founder of Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the pACT channels. I would like to thank you so very much for what you are doing. I want to thank you for everything that you've done for our company. And I want to thank you for allowing me to come on and talk about this for an hour. If you have any comments, I encourage you, please reach out to me. If there was anything said that you disagree with, or if there was anything said that you didn't, you have questions about. If you have a plan on how we can go about doing this without raising conflict, let's get together. Let's talk about it. Whether you agree with me or you disagree with me, I'd like to hear from you. Am I just way too sensitive on this? Maybe. Very possibly. Is it going to ever change my mind? Very doubtfully. Very doubtfully. Please love somebody out there because somebody out here loves you. I'd like to remind you that if you're not helping anyone, you're hurting everyone. Please remember that no one ever has to go it alone when we all come together. Please join us this Wednesday night at 7 p.m. East, 4 Pacific, as I am joined by Melly Winehouse, Melissa, and our wonderful friends at Dignified Dementia. And I think that we're going to be visited by a fat man in a red suit. And it's not me this time. But I think that we're going to interrupt Santa's summer vacation. So join us on Wednesday and let's talk to Santa. And you can always comment and leave a message. And, you can always send me cookies and I'll try to make sure he gets them. Okay, I won't make sure he gets them. I'll eat them. But, I'm a fat guy that wears red all the time too. So, but anyway, again, please take care of each other. We're all we got. Thank you for watching Footprints Forward. Thank you for your participation. And please make sure that we're taking care of each other. We're all we got. Looking to make a difference with your shopping? Visit communitypayitforward.us. Select the mission or cause you want to support and scan the QR code. You have two options. Click the first link and browse our giving partners, or use the second link to tell us what you need, and we'll find the right partners for you. Shop with these partners and keep your receipt or invoice. Next, click a picture or simply upload a picture of your receipt to the portal in every form, adding your name and email address. Your purchase now turns into a donation to the mission you've chosen. Community Pay It Forward shares your business story with those in need of your services to rally support for those who need us all.